Quebec Liberal leader Pablo Rodriguez was one of Bill 21's staunchest opponents while serving Justin Trudeau as Quebec lieutenant. Now, he says the Liberal government, if elected, would maintain a secularism law that prohibits certain public officials from wearing religious symbols. Joining me now to talk about this, the 180 and the tightrope that Rodriguez is walking politically, is Raphael Melancon. Thanks for being here.
Good evening, Matt.
So what do you make of Rodriguez's U-turn on Bill 21?
Well, quite a U-turn, as you mentioned. He was one of the staunchest opponents to Bill 21 back when he was on the federal stage. So, of course, a striking change here in terms of position on this. He said last week, just a few days ago, that he would actually maintain the law, saying, and I quote him here, that secularism has brought social peace in Quebec, but he would not renew the use of the notwithstanding clause. So as we know, the notwithstanding clause is shielding the law right now from being contested in courts, and this has to be renewed every 5 years. So he would not renew that if elected premier under a Liberal government, but still he would maintain Bill 21. And here, obviously, he's trying to reach out to Francophone voters who are, for the large part, in favor of the legislation and the separation of state and church, as we know. So he's trying here to make gains, of course, because right now the Liberals are standing, according to the latest Léger poll, around 15% among Francophone voters. So he needs to make gains there to reach out to this part of the electorate, because if they want to make gains outside of the Greater Montreal area, it's not going to be an easy ride in the park, as we say, without at least trying to appeal to French-speaking voters.
But does he, at the same time, run the risk of alienating what's sort of the core of his base, Anglophones, cultural communities, immigrant communities as well, by doing this?
Very good question, and that's the point here. That the thing is, the majority of those who traditionally vote for the Liberals are staunchly opposed to Bill 21. So there's a risk here of triggering an internal crisis within the Liberal Party. Something like we have seen, remember, just a few years ago under Dominique Anglade, when she had this ambiguous position on Bill 96 on the language issue, she alienated part of her own base of Anglophones, particularly who were angry at her new position, while she was trying a nationalist U-turn to reach out to Francophone voters. And in the end, what happened? Well, nobody really bought it. The Anglophones were against it and strongly opposed, whereas nobody on the Francophone side really bought that nationalist turn from the Liberal Party. So in the end, it led to the worst ever historic defeat of the Liberal Party.
Just very quickly, one last thing. I noticed you mentioned the fact that he said that he's just not going to renew the notwithstanding clause. Isn't that effectively just meaning that it would eventually be struck down? Is it a little bit of tricky language that he's trying to use here to play both sides?
That's a good point you're bringing, Matt. And actually, yes, it will open the door for sure to the law being contested in courts, because right now, as we know, the notwithstanding clause protects the law from being contested based on the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So eventually, if they don't renew that notwithstanding clause, it could open the door really to groups, for instance, contesting the law, and eventually the law being pushed back in courts. But we'll have to wait and see here. It's a long way to go, and Pablo Rodriguez still needs to win the next general election to do that.
All right. Political analyst Raphael Melancon, thanks very much.
Thank you, Matt. Always a pleasure. See you next time.